Say hello.
Hello! All right, so this is a continuing education class that is focusing on being specific. Names that come up with this are orthopedic massage, deep tissue, specific releases, and the list goes on and on and on. And you're going to hear me say multiple times, like I've already said to the group, advanced only means more experienced and thoughtful use of the basics. So when we look at stuff like this, for me, continuing education means a push to another layer of critical thinking ability. Not necessarily a whole lot more things to do. If you've been out practicing massage for a while, and even, because I've got combined class today, even the group that started in the fall, we got you through a general protocol. Now what? So we're going to try to frame what we're doing around what it's going to take for the participants in this class to feel confident in their next step. Whatever that might be. It could be some level of teaching. It could be a change in your client focus, that sort of thing. So, on hand to work with you today as they travel off is Luke, who is my child and has gone through the program, got his bachelor's in applied science and massage therapy from Siena Heights University, worked everywhere and spent, was it 10 or 11 years with the Detroit Pistons?
Yep.
And, you know, a lot of stuff. So he brings the next generation idea of what it's like to be a massage therapist right now.
Key is either, especially in this kind of content, because if I'm going to be transparent, by being specialized in the clinical setting, if I were to go into the spa environment and have to do a warm scalp oil massage and have all like the kind of the more nuanced relaxation-based frills, I would feel clumsy. I want to clarify very strongly, one of the greatest revelations I had in going deeper down the rabbit hole of more specific clinical orthopedic-based care is people tend to lose their awareness of how important relaxation is. You can't get away from the idea of the whole parasympathetic dominance, maintenance of homeostasis, helping people sleep better is probably your best intervention, especially for chronic pain. If they can just rest better, sleep better, be more relaxed, their pain perception is always going to be better modulated. So I really want to stress, as you go deeper into the clinical, fancy, deep release everything, to really keep your thumb on the importance of what relaxation and stress management, how important that is. And what it turns into, this kind of work, deep release work, turns into spot work instead of just a good general full body. Mm-hmm. There's the importance of being able to blend the two together. So I worked predominantly towards the tail end. I worked in spas and did all the did a little bit of everything, but then I ended up predominantly with complex clients that needed what they would maybe state as more therapy versus relaxation, working in the chiropractic and then PT, strength conditioning environment. Working in sports ultimately is working alongside athletic trainers and physical therapists and strength and conditioning coaches. So you can apply that in the context of working in any kind of rehab, whether it be acute or it be long-term strength and conditioning wellness. The key thing you are hearing a little bit is individuals that come into these environments, a person that comes into the chiropractic setting, physical therapy setting, or the sports wellness setting, tends to be looking for something that's more therapeutically based in outcome, as opposed to just a day of like a vacation. So you will hear people are looking and seeking for some kind of more specific result. They want pain management, mobility enhancement. They want something like that. So that's my world, but part of my, probably the biggest mental click I had was when I was having discussions with the athletic trainers and PTs and saying, you know, if I'm really gonna be transparent with you in relation to what's gonna be the best outcome for these guys, is to make sure we're best utilizing my time to do more full body based protocols instead of just spot work.
Because they do spot work, right? So, and then I want to introduce Logan. Logan is in training. Logan has been in training under my tutelage since he enrolled. How many years ago, Logan?
About 10 years ago.
How many?
About 10.
Wow, I've been bossing you around a long time.
Yeah, you have.
Logan has been with us from the very beginning at Massage Green Spa, which is been a venture. I'll swing back on that if it's relevant in a minute. But he is in the world where people are trying to embrace this wellness, relaxation concept and justify the importance of it through its therapeutic benefit. Because our society still is not comfortable with paying for prevention. They need to say, well, I have to go get a massage every other week because I have a sore knee. Instead of just saying, I deserve to have a massage every other week. So we have to walk a line of, and it's an ethical line as well, of understanding the bigger need of massage compared to what they are indicating as a problem so that they feel justified in getting a massage. Logan walks that every day in the massage world. So, tell them a little bit more about yourself, Mr. Man. Yeah.
He's currently getting his bachelor's.
Yes, I'm currently going through Sienna Heights, just like how Luke did it. I'm close to being done. I have a few more credits and I'll have my bachelor's. You know? Like Sandy said, I've been working at Massage Green since they've been open, so it's been 6 years. Yeah. I see anywhere from 18-year-olds to 95 to 34. It's all in between. Nothing. I think the majority of people are probably like in their 40s or 50s when they come to get a massage. Mostly female, but you know, whatever. I see a lot of different things. It can be anywhere from relaxation to back pain to shoulder pain to a knee replacement injury that I've been dealing with for 3 years type of thing. What else?
Well, it's the idea that I mean, he will do the hot oil scalp massage, which is one of our most popular add-ons. He knows how to use the theragun and the suction cups and the, you know, all that kind of stuff because that's embedded in what is offered. But our focus is on retention clients, even though we get our share of one-timers kind of thing. But it's really on building a client base where people see this as an integral part of how they get from day to day the very best they can in their world. And so there comes a bigger thing, even more important maybe in what we do, is the relationships we build. And with a lot of our population, but with our geriatric population over at Massage Green, a lot of times we're their social system. And they want to chat. They want to talk. And how do you navigate that when you've got, you know, appointments one right after the other, and honor that. And the reception, the desk position, where, you know, is really important in all of that. And if you're self-employed, you got to figure out how you're going to navigate that, doing both. Now, did you tell me you were on the phone with somebody for about a half hour yesterday, Luke?
That is a common piece, and even in relation to this kind of stuff, so I'll try to create a bridge between all of that. But finding ways to have people feel like they're heard, that's an important piece to all of this, right? Sometimes it can take a person a very long time to frankly even tell you what their primary goal is. Even though you can try to stress why they're here and what they're doing, and it can all start with something as nebulous as they just came in for a couples massage and they're just trying to get away, and it's stress-based, relaxation-based, but then they realize that, hey, their knee felt a little bit better as they came out of there, and then they start returning based on that kind of outcome. But people aren't going to return for services unless they see the long-term benefit. You know, they have to quantify that, right? So there's something to be said for like my vacation analogy versus something that's maintenance-based. And the general analogy is it's easier to prevent or keep things getting worse slower than to deal with it once it's acute and you have a truly manifested series of symptoms, or what we would call like an injury, something that could be diagnosed as something. Being able to have those conversations about why maintenance is important can be one of the more complex things you can manage, because in our society there's a lot of pure-based solutions. So at the desk, for example, there's a lot of listening to people, and the key thing I have to do if I have somebody asking questions about the services we have or what can be done for their very complex issues and all that is being frankly as transparent and honest as I can be. We have a lot of taglines associated with just telling people it's good for you. Massage is detox. Massage is immune system building. Saunas are detox and immune system building. You can say those two words and you're great. Immune, detox, voila, everybody's sold, right? And they get overemphasized. And the benefits of things get simplified to the point of really what we're saying is it's good for you. Trust me, it's good for you. Because nobody wants a half hour, you guys are here for lecture time. But the clients aren't there for a lecture as to why everything's good for them. But you don't want to be a snake oil salesman. If I have a soapbox I stand on, it's not making this too mystical. You shouldn't make it too mystical for clients, like you're the only person that has the cure. And especially from the teacher to the student, it should never be that anybody can't do it. I get real prickly on that there's somebody with a special skill that you have to mire your way through to learn how to do. If they make it way too complex for you to learn how to do it, then they're putting the smoke screen up. We push on stuff and hope for the best. Maybe we use
Well done, Luke.
That's gonna be my business tagline. I push on stuff and hope for the best.
I like it.
Positive intention.
Sometimes I throw rocks at it.
Right. But we can't. People will say, is it energy as a placebo? I don't care. It works. Standing in front of a person and being like mindfulness, right? All that stuff. Be in the moment. Listen to a person. Don't get into a cookie cutter routine. Try to adapt the massage to what the person is asking for. Just try. And be honest. The first time sessions are always the hardest. You're assessing while also trying to sell a person on your service. You want the person to return and to see you. So you have to meet them on their level a little bit. Somebody comes in, they've only had one massage before, they called it deep tissue, they felt a little bit better and they're coming back and they want some kind of recreation of that. So how do you facilitate it? My best hack for you is to ask a ton of questions. To not get into a position where you're just guessing what the person wants and needs. If they're not going to engage with me, then sorry, you got to be part of the process.
Mm-hmm. Is cupping a course that you teach outside of the main one?
So we are going to have a class called Implement Assisted. It's part of the continuing education. Cupping is part of that. So now I'm going to be really honest with you. Watch a couple of YouTube videos.
And use yourself as a demo. Okay. Find a good lab rat, a fellow massage therapist.
Yeah, because we have a girl where I work at that does it in, I don't know where she went, but, so I have a couple that we see bi-weekly. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, what else do you guys do? And I'm like, well, I'm into Reiki, so my client gets that. Her client is like cupping, and then they switch, which Reiki isn't as widely accepted. I mean, I infuse it in my massage, but I've had clients that don't quite understand it, and I needed to be more forthcoming. And they're like, oh, that's witch's work, that's of the devil. I'm like, no, no, it's not, I promise. And through counseling with my pastor and stuff, I'm like, how do I frame this for these people? Because they're not going to understand.
That's a really, really important point that I will swing back in and touch on. Maybe not always today, but I know we've got 3 days of this content. And I wrote some things up as Luke was talking as we're doing this setup, in that there's a ton of misinformation out there. So I had a call yesterday from a different franchise owner, owns 3 or 4 stores, and wanted to know about adding cupping to their services, or vacuum or suction or whatever you want to call it. And did I know of anybody that was certified to teach it? All right, so this is also going to be relevant to what you talked about with the whole teaching thing. Continuing education is important. It's also a racket. And people will separate out a piece of something, and then the other thing they do is make it very dangerous. So you have to learn how to do it right, so you don't hurt somebody. And therefore you have to be certified in it, and that's not true. All of that is not true. So let's set the stage for this. The stage is, in order to practice massage therapy in the state of Michigan, you have to be licensed. To be licensed, you have to graduate from a program that's approved by the Department of Education in Michigan, which may or may not work in any other state, because the licensure is always a state thing. There is nothing else. There is no requirement for anything else. Now, does that mean you don't do anything else? No. You want to feel comfortable and confident with what you're doing. You want to grow in your professional world, and continuing education can be a way to do that. But it's not the only way.
One of the best analogies I have is actually in the tech world. It's competencies. It's
Yep.
all about how competent you are at working with a specific condition or population. So if you have experience with working with orthopedics and joint replacement, there you go. You can go and get a certification for it, but that's not gonna, it's now a requirement indicating that you need that to work with joint replacement.
And it's not. So the only thing you need is the licensure. Now, ethically, if you're going to work with something complex, then you need to, you know, somebody's got an autoimmune condition and they're taking various medications and they have flares that go with it and not. You don't learn about a massage routine for that. You go learn about the condition.
And if I was going to stress a key thing, it's knowing what not to do. Building out a network of resources. That's part of what really this can offer, is everybody knows who each other are. Everybody has some kind of experience in other arenas,
Yep.
and then you can reach out to one another and get some clarification. Or reach out to build a relationship with a local PT or anybody. Because ultimately the key thing you should be worried about with anything, the more complex it is, the more careful you need to be. And the more general the massage really frankly should be. Now coming back to cupping a little bit, that is not a push, that is a pull. That's a good one to learn how to do because it's something that we physically can't accomplish. But it's just building out experience and going to somebody that's more experienced than you, feeling it, going and getting a massage from somebody that you trust that incorporates cupping. If they incorporate cupping regularly and they've gone down that rabbit hole, you can experience it, and then a lot of it's self-education or coming into environments like this or elsewhere. And I mean, I know from your experience, it was a lot of chasing people down, absorbing what knowledge you agree with, and forgetting the rest.
So your best continuing education teacher is you and your clients. And there are so many resources out there for you to take a look at. You have to be careful of the BS. All right? Weave through the ego. Weave through the, oh, you better be the, weave through all of that. If you want to learn something about cupping, look at 10 cupping YouTubes, and where's the theme? What do they all do? What did they all say was maybe a little dangerous?
And knowing maybe what is the least invasive version, which would be, in the case of cupping, a silicone-based one. Then you get to the more plastic-based with a little suction gun. And then you go to the more traditional, which is using the glass and the fire. So you have those options. Which one's the safest? The least intense and the safest, the silicone. So start there and work your way up.
And I would say that with anything, that the people that are out there teaching continuing education, bless their hearts, are trying to make a buck, just like everybody else is. And so you want to make sure that you're actually getting value. And the other thing on that is don't believe everything they tell you. So if you want to move forward in a sense of validation, the only thing that is considered a certification in the massage is board certification offered by the National Certification Board. So the term certificate and certification are used incorrectly. People, if you take a class from somebody and then they give you a piece of paper and they say you are now certified, that's wrong. Certification for real is always done by an independent body that does not directly provide the education. So nobody who has actually taught you the skill can give you the certification. You always have to go someplace else to get what a certification is. What an educator gives you is a certificate of attendance. That's all they give you. So what I find in the group practices in particular or around other places is people trying to differentiate themselves as, oh, I'm certified in oncology massage. There is no certification for oncology massage. There's continuing education where you hope you're learning from the mistakes of other people. oh, I do prenatal massage. You have to be certified to do prenatal. There is no certification in prenatal massage. Doesn't exist. There's people teaching it, and you may want to learn from their experience, but they don't have all the answers either. There's no such thing as sports massage. Doesn't exist. There is working in a sport environment, so you need to know about the environment, which is a unique place to be. You know, what I will say to a lot of people is, now look, I don't care who they are, if they're a celebrity or not, if they're tall, if they're short, their butt's all cracked. Everybody's got a, okay? And the greatest thing you can do for them is to give them a quality, full body massage experience with enough intensity so they feel like something happened to them and it was worth the money.
So would the correct verbiage be, I have extra training in
Yes.
cupping, I have extra training in...
I have undergone additional education. Yeah.
Or simply have experience in, you know.
Yeah. So does anybody know people that are saying that? I'm certified in? Anybody encountered that? Yeah. So what are some of the ones?
Well, I work with a former instructor, so she has never put the instructor's head away, even though she's retired from instructing, and she's like...
There's no, now there are some states
Yeah.
that require 2 years of professional experience.
She likes to say, I'm certified in maternity, I'm this, I'm that, and I get it, I go to you for experience, but she's using the improper language.
So there is a lot of people doing that, and we're in a transition of understanding that. You've got choices when you're interacting with people. You can choose to attempt to re-educate, and people are going to probably get defensive because that is how they were differentiating themselves. As long as the person is not harming anybody, you can choose to avoid the conflict altogether. I suggest you walk down the middle lane a little bit. And especially with employers, I'm always talking to employers about, nobody can do massage unless they're certified in prenatal. I said, there is no certification in prenatal. You do need to know how to adapt to a person as they are pregnant. The funny story I tell about Logan, he worked at another, some spas before he came in with us. They were all massage greens, weren't they? He ended up being, at his young age, I mean, you were like 20 or something, 21. He ended up being the prenatal massage expert. It was hysterical to me because he was comfortable with sideline. And we don't teach sideline in our school as an option. It is built in. It's a thing that you do. Now, you can make choices of there. You can make choices about when you do stuff or when you don't and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of people think sideline is prenatal. And it's not. So this weaves into some of the stuff that I've written up here. That let me briefly go through this and then we'll take a little break, get up and move around. So the things that I wrote up here as we were going through and discussing what was going on. I'll start from the bottom and go up. Populations. I just talked about that. Geriatric, prenatal, chronic illness, pain, oncology, mental health. Oh God, the list goes on. If you're going to work with somebody that has a thing, then you need to learn about the thing. There's no special massage. Now you may adapt what you're doing a little bit, but there's no post-traumatic stress massage. One of the big things that's out there right now is trauma massage. Well, I would hate to traumatize somebody when I give them a massage. What they're really saying about that is that they're working with people. You gotta be careful of all of these things when you work with somebody who's had trauma. Unfortunately, the thing that happens with that is you almost, in order to justify yourself, the massage therapist looks for trauma. They look for the memory, they look for the thing, they look for the other thing, and now pretty soon the person was doing pretty good. And now they're not. Because the massage therapist said, oh, do you experience this? Oh, do you experience that? And all that kind of stuff. So the massage therapist did traumatize the person by keep opening their mouth. You know, most of you recognize this. Keep your hands moving, your mouth shut, you'll do a lot better. All right, so every client becomes your teacher because every client brings to you uniqueness. And as you work with them and work with them and work with them and grow with them in a retention business, you'll learn about their specifics, and you'll be able to generalize that to another client that might have similar things going on. But not the same. It's never the same. So you can't do routines. We teach a general protocol in the beginning of the schooling so that people know how to drape in all positions, use the basic methods in all positions, and get through a whole body without leaving parts out. All right, but then we start adapting. Okay, deep rehab, deep tissue. Crazy. There should be levels of intensity, levels of depth. We're going to talk about that when we look at the actual hands-on portion of this. There is no such thing as deep tissue. Deep has to do with relationship to, is it above or below something? So if I touch my skin and then I apply a tad more pressure so I'm changing the shape of the fascia underneath, that's deep. Deep tissue was brought about back in the early 80s as a way to differentiate massage from prostitution. You had to be around. So was sports massage. So was orthopedic massage. All of that stuff that was out there that's been separated out were ways for people to say, I'm not a prostitute. Now, we still have that as an issue. But research has verified massage. The healthcare community, medical community doesn't question the validity. You know, it's all there. There's just this level of misconception out there that is still an issue. So this has done nothing but create confusion. Now, most of the time when people say I want deep tissues, they want an essential pressure. And then how do you do that without hurting yourself? And how do you increase the perception of that pressure without hurting yourself or them? So we're going to cover that. I don't know what to tell you. People come, that language now, since the early 80s, has been embedded in society. People see deep tissue massage as therapeutic.
Well, I agree too. I feel like a lot of the time it's this perception that deep tissue means that it hurts. And as long as it hurts, then they're getting a Yeah.
So what you're going to learn today and over the other days that we do this is that you need to be able to reproduce their symptom. Now, if that's a hurt, that doesn't mean your intervention is going to be painful. And they certainly should not be hindered in their movement or stiffness or anything like that right after the massage. That happens, you damaged them. You caused inflammation and tissue damage. But this has been ingrained in people for a long time. Oh man, and I could hardly move the next day. Man, that was great. It's going to take a long time for us to re-change now, since this has been embedded in the general population. It's going to take a long time. So we're going to teach you how to honor that.
It's Laura and kids, I think.
General massage is where it's at. All you can do is push and pull. You should be able to provide multiple levels of sense of depth and intensity without hurting yourself. General massage becomes your assessment. So if somebody says, well, I just don't want a plain massage, say, oh, it's not plain massage. This is my first level and ongoing level of assessment. I'm assessing you. It's going to give me information on what I'm going to do. But the outcome that you get from that is that general downregulation of the autonomic nervous system, and they're going to feel better. And they're going to move better. Integrated care then is it's not so much that you're going to have to work, you don't have to become a PT, you don't have to become a nurse, you don't have to become an athletic trainer, you don't have to become the doctor or the nutritionist or anything else. You got enough to do being the massage therapist. But you do have to have an understanding of what the people around you are doing. And you have to appreciate that they need to be able to communicate with you, and you need to be able to communicate with them. And now it falls apart. Because massage has got a unique language out there that nobody knows what anybody's talking about. We don't even know what each other's talking about. Now, I am involved with an international group that's trying to remedy that, and I'll give you more information about that later. But Luke worked with athletic trainers and all that kind of stuff. He didn't have to do their job. In fact, that really aggravates people. In the sports world itself, for example, massage therapists are not really highly regarded.
One of the easiest go-tos I had with a new trainer or PT is going to them and saying, what's really driven you nuts about massage therapists in your experience? Where do you feel it aligns with your therapy best? Massage therapy, because it's a place where multiple healing, wellness-based